Everyone has their own journey with mental health and mental illness.
It's coming to a point where it's not out of sight, out of mind anymore.
I didn't care if I lived or died and said, this is not who you want to be.
It was way easier for me to talk to other people about it, but then when I was asked to look inward, it was really challenging and really vulnerable.
I just feel like a common misconception is that everybody's depression is the same.
When somebody's hurt in the room, the hurt of one is the hurt of all.
I am a reporter at the Hood River News. You really get to know people in the community, which is one of the things that I love about journalism, to kind of bring that awareness that we're part of a community. In hindsight, I realize I've kind of been struggling with depression and anxiety for most of my life. I didn't really realize it until my freshman year of college, when I had my first panic attack. It got to a point where I was only sleeping every other night, and I started to get suicidal. It still hasn't completely gone away, but I've gotten better at managing the thoughts and got a diagnosis and was like, okay, so this is what it is, and now we just get to figure out how to deal with it.
I was probably 18 or 19. Around that time I got into using, and then from that snowballed into me selling meth and me taking that road of addiction. It does start with a choice to use, but then once that goes so far, you think that, I can't live without this, because it's been part of your life for maybe a few months, maybe a few years, maybe a few decades. I know when I got out of prison, I didn't prepare for some of the no's I was gonna get, and it kind of threw me back into using. So I was like, well, let's go to treatment. And then ever since then, I just kind of been on the straight and narrow. Even if you stopped using drugs and started using drugs again, it doesn't matter if you fall down. It matters that you get back up and you keep pushing towards that goal that you want to keep, which would be being sober, I'd hope.
I found yoga when I was 15, and it was transformative. It was just this whole new experience of being able to feel calm and relaxed without medication. I was diagnosed with ADHD in second grade, so I grew up with it from a very young age, of this narrative of thinking that something was wrong with me rather than it was just who I was. As I grew older, it was more restructuring that narrative to not think that it was a problem, that it was something that could help me or I could help other people.
When we first start the drum circle, I always tell everybody it's the sound of the heartbeat. It's the connection of all people. It's all right for everybody to cry, because sometimes when you hear the beat of the drum, it's a shock. Boom. And sometimes it loosens up this area right here around your heart. And there's things that we've been holding on to that we didn't know that were there. I was part of the sick forest, and me being a sick tree, I was affecting people around me, not just my family members, but my community. And so the forest, the body was getting sick, and once I started to deal with my own emotional things that had affected me in my life, letting go of the past, the hurts, the pain, and not having to rely on to alcohol or methamphetamines, then I became the healthy tree.
When I was bullied about my weight, I just, started to get addicted to losing weight, making myself smaller, kind of disappearing to the world, just really didn't want to be bothered to anybody. So I developed an eating disorder when I was 15, and, it's been up and down for years. But I find the real help is finding individuals in life that are actually real, raw, and true, that have struggled with this themselves. That's been the most help. So So I'm going to school for nursing. I've always really had a passion for caring for others and giving others love, as that's something I didn't receive for myself. So I feel like that's something that really draws me to give love. And so that's what I feel really is my calling, is to work with people with mental health illnesses and issues, to show them like, hey, I've been there, I'm here to listen.
I was someone who you might call a high-functioning alcoholic. Being a man, I felt like I was supposed to be able to handle difficult situations on my own. I could hide it from the rest of the world, and that became very painful over time because I felt like no one would love me anymore if they knew.
Some people say a man is made out of mud.
My first experiences with support groups were basically in intensive outpatient care right after detox. And hearing from other people who were like me in many ways, tell their story, share their experience, really did help me a lot in saying, wait a minute, we're all in this together.
To the company store.
You don't have to think about the whole day at once. You don't have to even think about the next hour, even if it's just getting out of bed and brushing your teeth. That's something that you did to keep moving forward.
There's people out there that would love to see you succeed, and don't be ashamed to ask for help, because people want to help people.
Any way that I can get closer and closer to ending the isolation that comes with mental illness and speaking out more about it, and also being quiet when it's necessary for others to speak out as well.
I like to call it lifting our brothers and sisters up. The healing force is definitely going to get wider and get bigger.
I just really want people to know that we're all human, and then people may have like the perfect life. You know, some days their underwear doesn't fit right and they're just having a terrible day. So not everybody's life is perfect.
This feels good to share with other people, and we do believe that it is in helping others that we really help ourselves.
She be dim dim do de da do. She be dim dim do de da do. She be dim dim do de da do.